gigantic Jeremy Gillingham. What's happening, man?
Not much. Just here in town. We stopped by on our way to go to Dougie Staggert's. Gonna stay there for the night. He houses us during the Ohio Island games.
Yeah, Ashley was saying they're just coming home from Punta Cana, just like literally getting home now.
I guess they got home like 2 hours ago, and they were supposed to be home yesterday. So Lisa's running around like crazy because she takes real good care of us.
Yeah, that's it's like a whole spread and
like
barbecue and everything.
We got steaks that are 2 inches thick, chicken breast, all kinds of muffins which you eat in the morning.
How old is Steiger now?
70?
He was 70 when I threw with him.
No,
I think he's got to be
late 40s. Maybe
late 40s?
Maybe. I can't remember.
I think he was eligible for the Masters class when I was throwing with him. I'll have to find that out tomorrow.
We used to for 16 years? Well, what part of that was... No, you threw for 20.
I threw for 22, 17 as a pro, and then I retired for 2 years and came back in the 3 years.
Legends class.
For 3 years. The Legends class. The senior circuit now that I'm on. So we're here.
I think we should do that. I think everybody just like they did with the lightweight class, which we'll get to in a second, is just everybody start calling it Legends, and they'll have to change it.
But yeah,
like the lightweight class used to be 190, but then for some reason people started making it 200, and then everybody started making 200. And now it's a 200-pound lightweight class.
So they went from 190 to 200.
Most places. I think it started out west.
I don't know why 190 was a thing anyhow.
Because it's small guys. It's 200-pounders. You're not a small guy anymore. Especially when you're weighing in the day before.
That's true. You have a 24-hour
before it was you weigh in that morning at 190. If you weigh in at 190 that morning, you're throwing at 190, maybe 190.
Right.
If you weigh in at 200 on Friday night, you're 220. I can't even
fathom
cutting weight
to throw in the Highlands. It doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah, I remember I only wrestled 1 year in 8th grade. And I was 235 in a 275 or 265 class.
Right. So
I always laugh because I'm eating a cheeseburger while I'm weighing.
Everyone else is starving and spitting in a cup, and you're eating a cheeseburger. So we're here. You're in town for Ohio Scottish Games, which
OSG.
Is what's the name of what's Alex's federation?
Massa.
I
don't remember what that's.
I always get that mixed up with the wrestling federation, the mass wrestlers.
Oh,
so I can never.
I know it's been around a long time. Has that just gotten popular lately?
Chad Clark, Chad.
Yeah,
it's popular because Chad Clark is just he's like the biggest proponent of mass wrestling in the world, and it's supposedly some ancient sport, but Chad is the only one who likes it in the United States. he's recruiting everybody. He's recruiting everyone to do it.
I remember, one of the first one he got was Danielle Curry.
Yeah.
She walked out. I remember hearing that story at the Arnold. She had borrowed shoes, borrowed shorts, didn't know the rules, and just grabbed on and started pulling.
Yeah, when you're as strong as Danielle Curry, I think you can get away with that shit. The first one I ever saw was, Mark Felix was in it, and all these, freakish deadlifter guys with super long arms, and they were super jacked. I saw it at the Arnold one year, and Tom Soroka's doing it now, and he's totally into it.
The biggest back in Highland Games, Soroka.
Yeah, Soroka's.
Did you see his on his Instagram post where he posted his timeline of the last few years? He went from 330 down.
Yes.
I was like, that's a different man.
Well, he was down there with.
He looked inflated, like a swole up.
Yes. Well, he was posting a bunch of weightlifting stuff a while back, and the way we kind of became friends was I said, man, it's not nearly the most impressive thing you do. It was the 100 pounds of weight you've lost in the last year, That was...
I love me some Soroka, but I remember the one time I was just watching videos of training and stuff. I watched Soroka. I think he snatched 315. I don't know what the kilo is because I'm American, so I don't know.
130 kilos.
And then I saw a couple days later, Andy Vincent snatched 315.
Right.
And I'm
like a retard too. It wasn't even Yeah, Andy. I heard Andy's going Masters next year.
He might.
I'm super psyched because I'm going to be in the 45 category, so he'll be in the 40 category. I'm good with Andy going
that
Masters.
Deep voice.
Could Matt and Andy be any different human beings? If there was ever a Schwarzenegger DeVito twins scenario, with those two.
It was always Matt was talking about one time, I'm a D1 scholarship athlete, blah blah blah. I think all conference or this SEC or something. He goes, and I'm the dark horse of the.
Andy looks like he's carved out of stone.
So yeah, that's. And Andy, like, I remember when we were amateurs, when I was a little lighter, I think he was heavier, so we were both about 320, 325.
Right.
We didn't look like the same 320 or 325.
Yeah, he's a total freak. He's just jacked to the gills, and he's got that deep voice, and he looks like a bad guy from any Arnold movie ever, you know?
Speaking of we were at North-South one year, I can't remember what year it was, but it was, Andy was there, Spencer was there, John O'Neill was there. So, like, I'm like the short guy on the totem pole with these guys there. But, so we're at dinner, and down in Texas, they play the stupid slapping game. You ever heard of it?
No.
So you just slap each other.
No.
And they go around the table and slap at each other. Well, sitting at the table, Andy Vincent, Spencer Tyler, John O'Neill. I just got away from the table as soon as I could. I was like, I ain't joining in on this.
No.
I ain't getting hit by that brick that Andy calls a hand.
I can't get into any game like that where you're just cracking the shit out of each other. Have you seen that? They've got like the full contact arm wrestling where they grab hands and just punch each other in the face.
I was watching that. He's like hanging on the table, like punching out at the guy.
Who came up with that idea? That's the worst idea I've ever heard of.
If I started an arm wrestling competition, they started punching.
Right.
Like, this is a good idea.
Their hands are strapped together, and I've seen the slapping ones on YouTube too, where they just. Yeah, it's like a table in between.
The guy's cheek was like all swelled up by the end of it. It's like, wow, these guys are nuts.
Yeah,
and then they shake each other's hand and give each other hugs when they're done.
Yeah, no, I can't get into that. I'm one of the few guys who will openly admit that I'm glad there was no UFC when I was in high school, because you hear guys, I wish that was around when I was in high school. I would have got into that. There's no way I would have got into that.
You know who says that? Craig Smith? Yeah, said that.
Well, Craig has got issues. Craig has got some major anger management problems that he's always needed to work out. We were always worried that Craig was going to smack somebody. No matter where we went, we were afraid Craig was going to smack somebody. And the only time we were worried about anyone other than Craig, it was Miles. Because Miles was known to choke people.
I've heard his stories about stoplight incidents.
Throwing bags of nickels at people on the highway, and Miles is he's been texting me. I think he's getting ready to start his own gym.
Is he?
Yeah, he's like quit his job, and
Miles would because I think he was part of 2 or 3 of the North-South that I went to, either as throwing or as a coach or as the captain, and everybody's like, when are we starting today? When I was like, when Miles gets here is when we're going to start today. That's when we're starting this competition, when Miles walks in.
Miles would have been a fantastic Highland Games athlete if he ever used his legs. He never bent his knees one time in competition. He would come back, he would throw the stone and come back and go, how was that guy? Yeah, bend your knees next time. You'll be fine. He never got it, but so from what I hear, you are the guy to beat tomorrow at the Ohio Scottish Games, because I've interviewed 3 pros already today, and all 3 of them have said you're the guy to beat tomorrow.
If I'm on, it's funny. I don't know if you remember when you 2 there, but it doesn't seem like anybody throws real well there. It's weird. It's not even tomorrow's probably gonna be terrible because of the rain, but even on nice days, and it's not like we're using terrible stuff. It's old stuff.
Well. You're absolutely right. No one ever throws far there. But there was one year, and there's a video on YouTube. I can't remember who put it up, but there's a video on YouTube where it was me and Kerry and Craig and Harrison Bailey and Greg Hadley and Ryan Vieira and Larry Brock, and it was the most incredible weight throw competition ever. And I remember throwing 80 and 40 in the weights and finishing like second to last. I mean, these guys were just killing it. I'll have to find that one. It's a great video, and it was like Larry would get up and throw 45, and then Vera would get up and throw 45, and it was just barely edging each other out. It was a great competition. Then you guys throw the caber in front of the grandstands, which looks cool.
It looks really cool, but everybody's throwing caber there. No, you're for one, you're standing on a slant.
Yeah,
and on top of that, it's the dirt, manure, whatever that track is, and the caber bounces.
There's power lines right behind you.
Yeah, you got to start between the power lines so you don't hit them and items like that.
It's a horrible setup.
And so last year was my 8th or 9th year at Ohio Scottish Games.
Yeah.
Even as an amateur and a pro, and it was the first time I won the caber there.
Yeah.
So last year was the only one to turn it. The year before, I think I had a drop and 2 11:45s and I got last place. So definitely a different caber from year to year. But but overall for the competition there, tomorrow, usually we're there usually the top couple, and then it all matters which Johnny Pills shows up.
Right.
And we know he's up and down. He had a really good week or time last week at Chicago. And events kind of line up for him. It's a stone.
Braemar stone, right?
Yeah. So he's a good Braemar thrower. And then the heavyweight and the lightweight. He's pretty good weight thrower when he's on. And then we just never know about the rest of them. So he's hit or miss on the caber and on the wob with his little wrist flip. I remember when he first came out, Johnny Pills, or John Pilling, if nobody knows him by Johnny Pills. That's a name Andy Vincent gave him. Yeah. Which is awesome. We watched him throw weight over bar. I think he cleared 16 that year or something. It was like, I hope he never learns how to throw this.
Yeah, all right.
Because he literally pulls it and then he just flips his wrist.
Yeah.
And it flips over the bar. And I hope he doesn't learn how to, because he's going to go 17 feet.
That's what we used to say about you when you turned pro, is when you were coming on, we were just like, I hope he doesn't figure this fucking thing out. Because we got out. You were still struggling when me, Craig, and Kerry retired. Or pretty much got out. Yeah, I don't know if Craig ever officially retired, but you were just figuring it out.
A couple of years ago, the heavyweight started coming around, which was always my Achilles. I threw the 47 at the old Maryland games.
You threw a 47-footer?
Yeah.
No shit.
It's a thrower-friendly field.
Yeah.
So
which one? Which Maryland game?
Frederick.
Oh, Frederick. Yeah. Frederick's. Yeah, it's a good field. Well,
you still throw. I mean, if people say like, "Oh, you threw downhill," it's like, yeah, but you're still throwing. The trig is downhill too.
Right.
I fouled the one before that was probably 45 because it was downhill.
Yeah, when the trig's set up like that, it's a blessing and a curse because it speeds you up, and I start worrying about getting to the trig too fast, or taking too big a step, so it screws you up too, and you have to be able to figure that out. Fairhill and Frederick used to have two favorable fields.
Yeah, with that 47-foot throw is the only time I've ever felt it where I finished, my arm was above my head, and it didn't feel like I pulled the ring out, pulled the handle out of the way.
Right.
Like everything was fine, and it just flew.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, that was it, and I haven't felt it since.
You ought to go up to the Canadian games with...
I've been to Fergus. You've
been to Fergus?
Yeah.
Is that still... Well, man, they don't call it the North American Championships anymore, but it's still pretty...
Yeah, last year... So the year before, I think it was on the same weekend as a big game somewhere.
Yeah.
I ended up finishing second right behind Matt Doherty, who's the giant killer, Matt Doherty.
He's multiple Canadian champion.
Yeah,
right?
and all 5'7" of him.
Yeah.
But 5'7", 120 pounds.
Yeah, he's
but,
not big.
So we were actually tied, I think, going in the Wob, and I knew it was over because he's a mini Zolk when it comes to Wob. He's built just like Zolkwitz, just a little bit shorter.
It was funny because he has. You're right. He's got a lot of the same mannerisms too, and he takes his shirt off when he's trying to get a big throw. So we were in Nova Scotia, and it comes down to Matt Vincent and Matt Doherty for the weight over bar, and we know that the shirt's coming off for Doherty. It's coming this next throw, and Vincent's up before him. So
is this Fat Vincent?
Very fat Vincent, way before he got in shape. So he's sitting next to me and Aaron, and we're talking, and he looks over at me and goes, "Should I take my shirt off?" And Aaron goes, "You absolutely should take your shirt off." So he takes his shirt off and just totally ruins Doherty's whole mojo. And he ends up making a PR on the way to the night and beating Doherty. Doherty didn't know what to do. He didn't know if he should take his shirt off next or, But it totally ruined everything. It was
they did that for me at the Challenge Caber at the Celtic about 3 or 4 years ago. Did you hear about that? So by the time you get the Challenge Caber at the Celtic, you're drunk.
Yeah.
I remember the first year the goal was to catch the caber. It wasn't even to turn it. It was to get the nick. Yeah. I was like, why is it so windy? So we go 2 of them, and I'm feeling pretty good, and I didn't get a real good pull on it. And then the third one comes around, and Zolk, shirt's coming off the third one no matter what. And they're like, Vincent was like, Matt, you need to take your shirt off. I was like, all right, dude, no, I ain't doing that. Everything, and then I said no. Then once they walked that caber up, I was like, all right, hold it. The shirt came off, and Jane Ann found some pictures for me. She's like, there's like 15 people there with cameras. You knew I was going to find some. I'm like, yeah, I figured. Yeah. Whatever. But I 12'd it.
Nailed it. Maybe it's something to it. I don't know. We always used to make fun of Zolk for doing that. But and this is the second time I've talked about Zolk today on a podcast. But the bottom line is that was Zolk's shtick, and Zolk brought in a lot of money to those games because these broads would see Zolk take his shirt off, and they would go absolutely ape shit. And the next year, they'd bring 5 of their girlfriends to watch it. That was putting money in our pockets.
He's been to Celtic 19 times. Or
oh my God, he's been there. Yeah, every time I was there, Zolk was there, and I was there 5 or 6 times, and he's been going ever since, I think. And Zolk's he's an old legend, man. Yeah. He's still at it. He doesn't look that much different than he did when he was 25.
Well, even Spencer said this year when Spencer broke the weight over bar world record. He goes, I may have the Highland Games world record. Yeah. Whenever you want to get into that,
right? Yeah.
He goes, I may have that record. He goes, but Zolk's still the best weight over bar guy. Yeah. I mean, maybe not right now, but he's still. That guy can still, 17, 18 feet?
Yeah, and he was unstoppable. When he was in his prime and we were all throwing against him, there was no sense even showing up. You knew that he was going to win that event. Yeah. There was just no way around it. He had a super simple technique that it was really hard to mimic because he didn't have a big back bend. It was a lot of leg drive and his thighs, he's got thighs like a gorilla. I mean, they're just huge, and he would just pop those hips and go right over.
Like I said, the Doherty, that if you look at them, they're built the same. Yeah. They got the big lower body, the long arm, the long arms and everything. So, but even like I told people before, when it comes to the guys that were the best at their event, Zolk and the Wob, Frazier and the Sheaf, Dan and the Hammers. It's like they're so relaxed.
Yeah.
Like you see that record when the video of when Eric broke the world record 36-2 or 3 or whatever. You see him and he's just swaying he's just swaying with the wind, and then all of a sudden he just wham.
Do you know the story behind that? What happened? Why he was so relaxed like that?
Why?
So this is as bad as it got as pro Highland Games athletes. So we're at this event. And Frazier's just throwing a mile in the air. I mean, they're just going everywhere. And so we're all sitting there like, how the fuck are we going to make sure this guy doesn't beat us in this event? So at the time, the big drug on the circuit was Soma. And we were all taking these muscle relaxers.
Okay. And I remember hearing about that, yeah.
So I saw Kerry Overfelt take a half of one of these. And his face melted like the guy from Indiana Jones. Like, the eyes drew. He looked like a bloodhound by the end of the night, And just a half a pill. So Frazier's like, I'm a little tight, Larry Brock says, maybe you need a Soma. And Frazier's like, well, what's that? He goes, it's a muscle relaxer. It's going to really relax you. And he goes, so Larry goes to pull him out, and he starts putting him in his hands, and he was just going to give him one. And Frazier goes, well, those are pretty small. And Larry goes, you want 3? And Frazier says, yeah. Those motherfuckers poisoned him. Gave him 3 muscle relaxers. And it didn't faze him. It didn't faze him at all. Kerry Overfelt's face is melted after a half of one. I literally thought we were going to have to take him to the hospital. I was oh my God. I was like, am I part of this? Am I going to get in trouble? I mean, this guy's going down. His heart's going to stop. No problem. Went out, broke the world record. No big deal.
But even watching him otherwise, he's just he's just relaxed.
Yeah.
Zolk is his face is dead. His body, his face is really relaxed. Mm-hmm. And then when he hits the bottom, it's like. Wham!
Really explosive.
And the same thing with McKim and the Hammers is his first 2 lines were nothing. They were like, oh yeah, I'm throwing a hammer, and then that third one, he got 20 feet long.
Yeah, I've been trying to talk to people who'll send me messages about technique about that, and they think that they're going fast, and they're going fast in their mind because their arms are bent, and they're really cranking on this thing, and I'm trying to tell them. Just lengthen it out, and it's going to feel slow, but the head of that hammer is going to be going a lot faster. If people would just learn to relax and let it go.
Years ago, you were talking about, I think you talked to, was it Matt Sanford?
Mm-hmm.
How you try to feel it at the top.
Yep.
Feel it stretchy, and then go around and feel it at the top.
Yep.
So, I got a lot of, when I threw, I'm not a very good hammer thrower either. But when I had a couple good throws, Jake Sullivan was talking to me.
Yeah.
Sully.
Yep.
And he gave me a couple tips at the Celtic that year.
Yep.
And I think I threw right at my PR, and you throw in there you're throwing uphill.
It's a bad place to throw it.
Everybody else is throwing uphill. Dan's throwing over the hill.
Right. Yeah. If you were really good, it helped you out. Yeah.
So everybody's like, well, why are you guys throwing a light hammer shorter than Dan's throwing the heavy? Whoa! He threw over the hill. It doesn't count.
Right. You're hitting the side of a hill, and then he goes over the top of it. I remember Dan when he first figured out the hammers. I think because he wasn't that great.
He wasn't that good of a weight thrower.
No, he wasn't.
I think when I met him in Chicago in 2008, which is when I met most of you guys. He was a 37-75er?
Yep.
Yeah.
There was a time when I would beat Dan in the weights pretty regularly when he first got on the circuit. And then there was a year, and it was in Alaska, that I saw him figure out the hammer. And it was in a driving rainstorm in Alaska, and he threw 120 with the heavy hammer. And his previous PR was like 102 or something.
Holy crap.
And his arms just got super long, and you saw that speed in that third line. Boom! And it was after that, he was just like, okay, I got this now. We were up there, and Larry Brock again. Larry Brock was a motherfucker. They pull out this challenge caber.
Is this the Alaska story?
Yeah, and it's like, if you turn the challenge caber, you got like $500 or something. So Larry was like, hey guys, we've all come all this way. How about we just split it up, and whoever turns it, we split the money evenly. And Dan's a religious guy. Yeah. He's a good guy. Dan's like, oh, okay, that sounds good. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is great for me because there's no way I'm turning this stick, you know. So most of the guys sat it out. They were just like, screw it. They just sat in the tent. It was like me, Larry, and Dan. And Dan flips it on his last throw, so the money gets split all evenly. If he was smart and if he was an asshole like the rest of us were, he would have just taken it and said, no, I got this. And he would have went with it.
There's a good challenge caber story over in Fergus last year. Have you been
to Fergus?
Have you had the challenge caber?
Yes. Yep.
That's stupid?
Yeah.
So I asked Warren, I was like, you just throw this in the river and then get it the day before you come out here? But
it's always like 25 feet long, real whippy.
And so I'll go down and, I'm pretty confident. I've gotten pretty confident over the year with my caber over the years. So I'm going down and I get it, and I go to pick it and you kind of just pop it and it gets that far off the ground.
Yep.
It drops. I just laugh. I just started giggling. I think Chuck Casson and Jeff Cass, I think Jeff was there last year, I can't remember, but like they just lost it.
Yeah.
So the next time I actually, you get down there, you set your core, and you really hit it, and I got to find the next few times, but that first one, I think it left the ground like 3 inches.
It's always sketchy because you don't know, because you get a caber that looks huge, and you go to pop it, and it goes right over your shoulder. And then you get ones that look like they're nothing, and you underestimate. I did that in Iceland. I got one. I said, this doesn't look that bad. And I went to pick it and did the same thing. Like it barely came off the ground. So I had to do a double pick real quick and catch it. And I was like, holy shit.
Something like that, the Wisconsin caber.
That was my favorite stick of all time.
You like that one?
I've turned it like a bunch. Like every time I've been there,
I told people, they asked about that. I was like, it's like
the one you get to sign once you turn it. Yeah.
It's very awkward. It's only 16 feet long, and it's really top heavy.
Yep.
But when you have it in your arms are real wide because the bottom's stupid wide, and then it's 160 some pounds.
Yeah, it's super heavy, and it is top heavy. I don't know. I loved that stick, and I had its number for some reason. Every year I went there, I turned it and got to sign it, and there's some great. I love the pictures of it because it looks so impressive in your hands.
The one year, I think I've turned it every year. I went there like 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
I didn't turn it both days every year, but every year I at least turned it once because you throw it twice.
You do Sarge's Irish games. Is he still run in Wisconsin?
No,
he's out.
I think he's had some health issues.
Oh, okay.
So, but the one time, Craig, you know how Craig is, like, I'm not going to do well today. I'm not feeling good. I'm
injured.
Yeah, all that crap. And then so we're at Wisconsin on day 2. I think he won day 1 like he always does. Day 2, and he's like, we get to the caber, he's like, dude, I'm done, I'm spent. I'm like, whatever, Craig, know. And about 2 attempts in the caber, I was like, maybe he's right.
Yeah.
he was done. Like, he was just tired. And
Craig was one of the best athletes I ever competed at who didn't look athletic. Like, his technique did not look, like, if you watched him throw the stone, there's no way it should go as far as it does. But
it's because he pointed at it. When he let go, he pointed to make sure it would go the right way.
Yeah, or he would. His weights didn't look like they should go that far, but he could throw it in the mid to upper 80s, and I mean, he was weird.
And even when he's having a bad day, his safety throw was like 41 feet.
Yeah.
I remember watching him, and like he always kept it low.
Yep.
Like he'd almost drag it. And then at Alma this year, I was watching him throw the 42, and on his first turn, he brought it up. I'm like, I've never seen him do that before.
Yeah.
I don't know if he went like 55 with it or something like that.
No shit.
Yeah.
God damn, he went 55 with that?
Yeah, he went like low 40s with that stone. Well, they throw that one stone.
He's practically a zombie at this point. Craig's had a heart attack. He's all fucked up. He's lost 20-some pounds.
Yeah. But this year Alma was not very fun for me. I ended up hurting my back like the first throw of the second.
Well, Nathan said you drove up that morning and you were super tired too.
My family likes to come to that one because it's a fun festival for the family. So we drive up the morning of, which has never been a problem in my career. I think this is my 10th year. Driving 3 hours in the morning has never fazed me. Drive 3 hours, hop out, warm up well. The problem is I got the time wrong. Kind of my 8th year at Alma, and I thought we started at 10 instead of 9. I don't know why I thought that.
Drank all that shit.
So we got there at 9, a little before 9, and we're trying to find a parking spot, and I see them warm it up. I'm like, uh-oh. So I hop out. I literally put it in park, hop out, grab my box, and they went and found a parking spot right there. And I put my kilt on. I took one stone throw, warm up, and then we got in. And I think that's what I went to throw the 56, and I don't know if you know the way I throw the 56. I just spin in a circle and try to pull it as hard as possible.
Right.
And obviously that didn't work. And my back likes to remind me that I'm not 25 anymore, even though you guys still call me a young guy. But
you said you've always had some issues with it, though.
Yeah, probably my late 20s, 28, something like that. I was doing high pulls, and I was catching them instead of letting them drop on me. Yeah. I think it was 235 or 245, and I caught it, and I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. And that was the first time, and that was like a week, and I was good. Right. And then every once in a while, it'd flare, I need to back off. And then, right before I turned 30, I was squatting, and I got done, and I was unloading the bar, and one of the guys in the gym wanted to squat, and we had one of those racks. It's the angled racks that have the pegs, so you can be one of, So, I racked it at, the high peg or whatever, and this guy was going to squat, and I was like, you want this? He's like, yeah. And so I think I unloaded, it might have been 135, it might have been 225, I can't remember. And he's like 5'8", so I had to lower it. So I picked it up, and all I did, I just bent down and put it down. And like everybody says, you throw your back out if you sneeze because you're not, that's what happened is I didn't support myself, and I just let it go, and I racked it, I was like, I gotta go. Yeah. If I don't go now, I'm probably not going to be able to get out of the car.
It's going to lock up soon.
So I got home, and it was everything I could to get out of the car. And I tell people that I was lucky that I was unemployed because I couldn't sit down for more than 20 minutes.
Sure, right.
So I spent most of my time on my back with my feet up on the couch.
I think about that with things like bending over to pick up shoes or reaching out of the shower to grab a towel, and I'll think to myself, brace. Yeah. Just because you're right. You sneeze, you reach to grab a piece of laundry, and you'll throw it out. You have access to a reverse hyper anywhere at home?
We have it at Stout Barbell.
Man.
Plug, Stout Barbell, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
That's Johnny O'Connor's joint, right?
Doug Stagger's twin. Did you hear that Lisa tried to hand him a beer once because he thought he was dead? No. Lisa walked up to John O'Connor, tries to give him a beer, and she goes, "Oh wait,
you're not my husband."
So that was pretty funny, but
I get to see Johnny looking down her. Hello, super hot one. You can give me a beer if you'd like.
So, but yeah, we have one there. It's a nice one too. It's not one of those.
I'm telling you, man, it's a game changer.
I do, and that's actually when I heard it real bad. That saved me. The chiropractor told me, he's like, do as many of those as you can, and it brought me back. And then back to the time when I injured it pretty bad. I injured it on a Wednesday, and I had to go to Maine on that weekend. This is the worst weekend I ever had. Yeah. I had to fly and then sit in a car. I actually slept in the car because I didn't listen to my wife or girlfriend, fiance. I think she was girlfriend at the time. And didn't get a hotel. Yeah. Because I figured I could find something when I got there. Right. On the east coast of Maine. No.
So you slept in your car?
Yeah. Luckily, I got a Jeep. What you have, Liberty. Yeah. And I stopped at 15 motels. Yeah. The only room I found was a smoking room, and I could hardly breathe when I opened it. Because I was like, "Can I check it out first?" Like, yeah, go ahead. They gave me the key, and I was like,
"Isn't that amazing that all hotels used to be like?" Yeah. You could smoke in all of them?
Well, I was talking to somebody, and growing up, my mom and my stepdad, they both smoked. Yeah. And everything, and now you get around a kid, and I smell them. I'm like, oh man! I was like, then I think, did I smell like that? Yeah. Was that me?
Right, yeah.
And I was like, oh, man.
I used to come home from the bars and, because I used to work as a bouncer, and I would come home and just stink. Yeah. and you just immediately throw your clothes in the washer because they would smell up your whole laundry.
The worst part was getting the shirt over your head. The other part, we used to go to a indoor race. Like I go to racetrack a lot, auto racing, big into that. And we have an indoor one at our Coliseum. And by 2 hours into that, and like there's blue haze in there from all the exhaust fumes, and my wife doesn't let me come in the house. I have to strip in the garage.
So it's leave your coat.
The eyes are bloodshot. Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's amazing that they used to let people do that. Now I look at people walking down the street with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, and it's almost like they're mental patients. Like there must be something wrong with them if they're still doing it.
Well, then you got a bunch of people who are living on the streets or always complain about poor, but they can smoke 2 packs a day.
Right.
It's like how? That's like that's what $14 a day. $100 a week, $100+ a week.
I look at. I used to chew Copenhagen, and the price of Copenhagen is and Skol is through the roof. I mean, I used to bitch about it was like $1.50 a tin or something. And now it's brutal.
I was lucky enough that's the habit I didn't pick up growing up. So.
That's the one habit, and I'm a fairly disciplined guy, but it's the one habit I miss. The guys in the gym will pack one in, and I just look at it and go, oh, I could just have one.
I had wrestler friends in high school who they said it curbs your appetite.
It does.
So they pack that in there, and
I would always, it was after every meal I'd have one. It was anytime I was in the car I'd have one. I used to work in bars, and I was just constantly just throwing one in. I always had one packed in my lip. It was just a crutch, it was something to do, and I still miss it to this day. I see people putting that in there. I'm just like, oh, I could just have one. It won't be a big deal, Of course, Erin's like a puma. She'd sense that in about 2 seconds. Did you rub today? I'd be in big trouble.
That's just something I never did. Even the smoking or chewing is just something I never got into.
You a drinker? I mean, you didn't. We went to dinner, and I was supposed to ply you with alcohol, and it didn't work.
I'm more of a social drinker. I could probably count on my hands how many times I've sat at home and had a beer.
Right.
I don't chill and drink a beer. I have beer on people and stuff like that.
Behind that surfboard up there, I've got some edible marijuana if you want. So, if you'd like.
No, that's nothing I've never done either.
Oh, we can try that. It'll mellow you right the fuck out. I can tell you the truth. Edibles don't do shit for me. I don't know why. I can smoke a joint and it'll mellow me right out. But I'm one of these guys who, I'll take 4 or 5 times the recommended dose, and it doesn't do anything for me. And that's usually it's much more potent that way. But that's why I'd still sit behind that surfboard because I don't have anything to do with it.
No, it's something I've never done. Like I never really had interest in it. I was always an athlete, so part of it was afraid that to get drug tested or whatever. Like, you're in trouble and all that stuff. I wasn't I drank every once in a while in high school, but nothing. Yeah, I wasn't a big partier. It always changed when I went to college, but
right, yeah.
But so it's just something I never did.
And you went to Ball State, right?
I went to Ball State for 2 years. They dropped their men's track and cross country when I was after my sophomore year. As I found out, they were talking about it after my freshman year. The summer came and everything, and I got a phone call from a local newspaper saying, "Hey, what do you feel about your track team?" I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" Yeah. So that sucks, but they let us finish that year, the second year, my sophomore year, and then I went down to Indiana State there and finish out about 3 years down there. I was actually a decent shot putter.
What were the marks?
Well, let's finish that statement. I was a decent shot putter as a sophomore. I think I went 55-ish.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. Remember, that wasn't meters because I'm American. So.
Right.
And then I don't know what happened. I started having problems with my hand and my knuckle, so I couldn't put the reps in.
Yeah, that's a big. It
got to the point when I went 5 years total in school. My 4th year, it got to the point where if I threw shot put like a full practice that night, I couldn't open a bottle. I couldn't grab the nozzle, and I couldn't grab the bottle. I just couldn't do anything. And if I threw at a track meet, I couldn't throw after Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because my hand would have to... I don't know what happened. Just a lot of scar tissue in the knuckle and stuff.
Is it better now with stones because they're bigger?
Yes. And I tell that... my PR with the stone is actually better than shot put.
Right.
Which is different for a lot of people.
Right.
It's just because they get all 4 fingers off it, and it doesn't it takes the stress off that middle finger.
Yeah. I always threw better with the stone than the shot. Because I started when I was 16... And I started shot put and Highland games at the same time, and I would throw Highland games in the summer and throw the stone really far, and then when you get back to the shot, it felt so small in your hands, and you couldn't get your fingers on it the way you wanted to. That's why I was kind of like indoor better than outdoor. The bigger the ball, the better it was. But that I can understand that totally. You were saying you were at Ball State when Zach Riley was a strength coach there, right?
Right. Yeah. My freshman year was a year after he graduated.
Okay.
So then he was a graduate assistant strength coach.
Was Wenning there too at that time? Matt Wenning?
Yes. Matt and I talked about. And I want to introduce myself to Matt sometime if I'm around him. But we talked a few times because he was into cars. He used to have
he's big into cars.
He had like a '95 Impala SS, which is one of my favorite cars.
Yeah.
I used to own a Caprice, which is a same body style, just not with all the fancy stuff on it. And then he also had a turbo Buick, the old G-body turbo Buick, the 80s G-body turbo. You don't much about cars, do you?
No, I'm not.
I know you're not into cars, but yeah. So he had a turbo. We used to talk about those every once in a while. So, and I kind of follow him. I don't watch a whole lot of training videos or any stuff, but
he's really good.
I know he's really strong.
Yeah, and he's good. We had him on the podcast, and he's a good alternative to. He's basically, in my opinion, the conjugate guy for raw lifters. He's taken what Louis did. Him and Louis had some differences of opinion, and I think that had to do a lot with Matt being as smart as he is, and Louis likes his guys to be soldiers. Do what I say, and I'm going to give the orders. And I think Matt had a lot of thoughts on his own on how he could do things better, and I don't think him and Louis got along too well, but and he basically said that on the podcast, but a real smart guy.
I think the things I read about Matt was he used to train like he would compete, so like I don't pay a lot of attention to powerlift, so I don't know what order they go in the competition, but like if he was, if squat was the second event in the competition he was going to do, he'd come in and do whatever event was before that to warm up.
Right.
So when he gets to that whatever that training day is, he's tired like he would be in competition.
Sure. Right.
So and I remember him reading about that. Well, he did that a lot. Like if he was working on the third event that day, like he'd do bench and squat as a warm up or whatever.
Get him ready to go.
Getting tired out because you're not going to be fresh when you get to that.
He has all kinds of weird ideas like that. Like he changed our warm ups around entirely at our place, and when I went down to talk to him, he had us change our warm-ups to get more volume in with the bodybuilding stuff. And it really works well for our people. And it gets them warmed up, but it also chisels them out. They look jacked. And when I get people on the online program trying it for the first time, they're like, how the fuck do you do all this volume? Like, well, you start at 30 reps and build your way up to 70 reps before you start, And he tries to do like 100 reps and 3 different exercises in 10 minutes. So he's moving really fast as he's going. But
and I remember Riley told this story. I heard him tell the story a couple of times. But I think Matt came out one day to track practice because he wanted to throw, and he couldn't tuck the stone or the shot put. He couldn't get the. He didn't have the mobility to put it into his neck.
Yeah.
So he just walked away.
You see that a lot of times when you're coaching kids. They'll like come up and like the big kids with these huge bench presses. They can't figure out where to put the rock at.
Well, they said was it Randy Barnes? I guess he got into some bodybuilding and stuff when he was throwing.
Right.
His biceps got too big. He said it's not that I couldn't tuck it. He goes, but I could feel that it wasn't where it needed to be. He goes, so I had to stop.
Yeah, he was into some serious power bodybuilding. There's some great videos of him online training. There's one of him and Mike Stoltz doing power cleans in this dungeon gym, and they're going up to 500 pounds power cleaning. It's probably what the American record was around there for Olympic lifters. Yeah. Here's these 2 shot putters just throwing it up, and at the time he was the best glider, and Barnes was the best spinner in the world. And here they are training in some dungeon in Texas. It was awesome. Great video. How did you end up getting into throwing?
I was a college thrower at Indiana State. We had a girl come in that was a recruit. And for some reason that day, although girls were busy, so for some reason they sent the girl with the guys.
Right.
that evening. So, and then we just kind of stayed in contact. She didn't end up going to Indiana State, but we stayed in contact over the years. And when I graduated, she's like, "You should check this out," because she was actually one of the Scottish dancers at the Chicago game.
Oh yeah.
She was actually like the queen one year or something like that after she was done, or princess. I think it was princess or whatever. You should check out the Highland games. I think you'd like them. So there was one in Fort Wayne within like 3 weeks. So I contacted the AD. He said, "It's a little too late to sign up." He goes, "Well, you can come out and help or whatever." So shag hammers. I learned what tacky was pretty quickly.
Yeah, right.
How that shit doesn't come off your hands. And then I walked up cavers and everything like that. And then there's a couple, John O'Connor, another guy named, the local AD was Mike Huth. I don't know if you ever met him.
No.
He's been around for a few years, but I got a hold of him and they hooked me up with John O'Connor and then Pete Van Der Wiel. Pete was actually a massive man, 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
He could carry 400 pounds and it wouldn't be a problem on his body. But he was a lineman for Drew Brees at Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a pretty good guy. So they had me come out to the firehouse because they're both firefighters, and we threw a couple things. And I grabbed the hammer and I tossed it, and they were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I might have done that part a few times." And then the stone obviously was natural for me. It came out guns blazing with the stone.
Those hammer winds. If you're a hammer thrower, that's the easiest part of the throw for you.
It was funny because I think my second games ever, I threw 88 in the heavy and 108 in the light. No blades.
Yeah.
I think 2 years ago at the claw, I threw like 91 and 109. I'm like, what? I thought I was supposed to get better at this.
No blades, you don't get used to it. I can't believe they still make you throw like that. There's
nowhere to go. Yeah, you talk about it all the time.
Right next door. I always talked to Wally. Well, Wally was drunk every time he saw him, but
you know he passed away. Right?
Yes, I did. I didn't
not that matters. I didn't know if you knew or not.
No, I knew that he was one of those characters in the Highland games that I will never forget Wally because he was such a character.
It was the one he's announcing the winners and everything, and he always. These are the 12 best throwers in North America.
I was there.
He did that here this weekend. It's like, oh, thanks, Wally.
He had us all lined up, and he said, "These are the 12. These are your 12 North American, your 12 best North American athletes that were available this weekend." And we were all just like, "Oh, come on!" Yeah, we used to. And then you threw in that rodeo arena, and there's cow shit on the floor, and we stopped warming up. That was one of those times where I'm with Ryan Vieira, and Ryan's not warming up. He's just sitting in a lawn chair. Everyone's warming up in this mud. And
how far do I gotta throw?
Ryan, you're not warming up. He's like, why? You're not going to throw on that when you get into the ring. You're going to be throwing on the AstroTurf. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I just wouldn't warm up either. If Ryan's not doing it, I'm not going to do it. But Ryan. That boy could eat.
I've heard stories about his ice cream eating.
Yeah, he is out of control. What are you doing? You got the wives and family and kids in here now. Everybody's coming in.
It looked like they got wet out in the rain or something.
She's soaked.
Oh. Is it raining outside?
No.
Oh, jump in the water?
Wait.
Oh, we're down here at the beach house, so they're down there playing in the surf. So where do you go after Ohio now?
Ohio, I got about a month off, and I finally accepted the invite to Portland.
Oh, good.
I get to go finally. This is the fourth year she's invited me, and I finally. The first 2 years was like 10 days before, and she's like, I understand if you. I was like, yeah, it's like a $700 plane ticket right now.
Yeah, right.
So we
wanted to go, but we looked at it, and it was pretty expensive.
And then last year we just weren't able to swing it. Because it's one of those games that you want to go, but. Like Craig always told me, he's like, if you're going to end in the red, there's no reason to go.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, if you go there and, twist an ankle in the stone, you're getting the bare minimum and you don't cover anything. Because it's like a $400 or $500 plane ticket and last place is $400.
And they don't cover your hotel.
That's all you get, yeah.
The Queen, Kaylin Moles, is one of the best people in Highland Games. And she was really upset because that used to be a super high-paying games. And they chopped up the money all goofy. And like you said, if you don't make that top 5, you're screwed.
Yeah, I heard was it their big sponsor, the bar or whatever? I think
Poland Brewing. Yeah,
they pulled their funds, and that's kind of where.
But I stopped going after that for just that reason, because if you screw up one thing, and I never threw that well on West Coast games because we would fly in the day before, and you're all jet lagged, and it just wasn't worth it.
But, and I tell people, it's like, I like to go to games once because I like to travel. I'm still in the mode where I like to travel.
Right.
So I like to see at least a place once. I wouldn't mind
Portland is great.
Yeah. And I've been trying to get into Utah for like 4 years, but
I never got up to that one. I used to do Portland and Enumclaw. And to be honest,
did you ever hang out for the week, or did you always want to?
I never did the full week.
Yeah.
I would fly back because I had a job and everything, and I would fly back, and then 2 weeks in a row you were on like a 4-hour, 5-hour plane ride across the country. But the only reason I went to Enumclaw was for the after party. I mean, it was just, we had such a good time screwing around after the games.
Where'd you go, Mark? Haven't been there yet.
Well,
we drive by it every time.
We spent more than our fair share of time at the Yellow Beak, the most insane bar I've ever been to in my life, and we spent a little time there. Me and Kerry Overfelt and a bunch of drunken Canadian guys, and then we did. We would go disco bowling on the night. So we would go to the Yellow Beak between days. So Saturday and Sunday we would go. Saturday night we would go. And then we would go bowling because we would go back to SeaTac, by SeaTac Airport. And we would go bowling in town with the Hopses. So that was always fun.
So we've got a lot lazier. We don't even... there's a bar right across the street, and that's where we...
Do you still stay in that hotel with the outdoor...
the one,
yeah, and it's got like the outdoor lobby in the middle.
Yeah,
or
and
the courtyard.
I think I've been there 5 or 6 years. It's usually we either go to that bar and eat, or you order pizza and drink beer. Yeah. And that's always a good time. And then usually always end up over back at that stupid bar until 2 or 3 in the morning.
Right.
Spencer's telling me I have to drink, stuff like that. But whatever, Spencer.
I still have not met Spencer yet. That's the one guy.
He's a mountain of a man. Yeah. And I tell this story all the time. Every time I tell a story, you could see him, you could some of his lifts, and that's great. It's like that dude jumped on a Honda. Have you seen that video?
No.
So there's a Honda Prelude or Accord or something parked beside this curb. There's a video of him. He literally stands on the curb and he jumps up. I mean, he didn't land on it and stand on it, but he jumped up and put his feet on top the roof of the Honda and come down. I'm like, that dude jumped on a Honda. Wow. So that's a story I tell all the time. That's like Craig Smith jumping out of 3-foot water onto the side of the...
He did that.
Because BJ Penn did it, didn't there?
Well, BJ Penn did it, and then there was this football player, this high-level football player who did it, and he was on a poker chat room. So he used to play poker 8 hours a day.
40 games at one time.
Yeah, 40 games at a time. And one of the people in the chat room was talking about how awesome this was, and Craig was like, I can do that. And the guy was like, bullshit, you can't do that. And he goes, well, I'll bet you this amount of money I can do it. I'll videotape it and send it. And the guy bet him the money, so he just went the next day and didn't even know if he could do it. He just tried it. And
he didn't stumble or anything. Nope. He just hopped right up there and
first
looked
try.
at the camera and walked away. It's like, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, you put money on the line with Craig, and he was hard to beat at anything. Yeah. But Spencer, watching him throw the weights...
It's so different.
It's very different, and his move to the trig in the second turn is faster than I've ever seen anyone do it. And for his big, what is he? He's 3.
Now I think he's 330 or 340.
Yeah.
So
and how tall is he?
6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember standing beside him and Chad. McDreamy. I can't think of his name.
Chad McDreamy.
He's a doctor. Why can't I think of his last name? Whatever, I'll ask the wife because she knows.
Young Jamie, get on that over there. Look up Chad McDreamy.
What's Chad's name? Last name? Gustin, yeah.
Oh, I know Chad.
Yeah, I don't know why I can, but I stood beside them in a hotel room once, and I'm like, looking up at him, like, why am I here? And then before John and Neil standing behind me. But
Chad Gustin.
Yeah, Spencer. And I remember the one year we were sitting at the Celtic, and I think I was 350 at the time.
Yeah.
I think I'm 340, 335 right now. And he told us he was 350.
Right.
And then 2 months later, he's like, dude, I was 375.
He's a straight up Sasquatch. I mean, he's got that weird ass build to him. I was watching him squat the other day, and his feet look all weird, but he's got some ungodly amount, 600 pounds on the bar or something, doing reps with him. Like, Jesus Christ, he's just a Flintstone,
And my favorite is, if you know Goldthorpe is, Josh?
Yeah.
Did you watch his video about being Spencer Tyler?
No.
So you know how Spencer has that weird start?
Yes.
And, every time everybody tells everybody that people still don't listen, is that Spencer start over years and years of error.
Yes.
He's failed multiple times at fouling stuff. He still fouls because he's going so hard.
I've seen him have to do one turn recently.
45 feet.
Right, yeah.
But, so it's he does that because of necessity. He's learned that he had to do it, and that's why he does it. But people start trying to do it. Yeah. No, you only do that if you have a problem. Goldthorpe is he has the video. He's like, you know how you feel like Spencer Tyler? You be fucking Spencer Tyler.
Yeah, right. We had an Olympic weightlifting coach who told us that people get obsessed with the 1%ers.
Yeah.
And they think, oh, well, this guy does it. And this is maybe the reason why I'm not lifting that well, because I don't do it that way. And that you look at that guy who's the 1%, and you realize you're not that athlete. You know, you should do it the way 99% of the other guys do.
Well, and people think that they just started doing it that way and it worked for them. Like, no, they've failed over and over again until they found something that fits them.
Yep. And they spent hours out in that field in the hot sun just trying to figure out where to put their feet.
Yeah, and then, because like Reese Hoffa, you watch him throw shot put? You know,
a heel turn,
The heel turn. And I guess I was talking to Matt Vincent about that and asked me, he goes, he tried to fix it, wasn't going as far, so he just went right back to it.
Right.
It works for him.
Yeah, why change it?
Yeah. So,
well, one of the things I noticed when I left, and I've talked about this before, one of the things I've noticed when I left the sport was that guys, when I came back, were trying to mimic Matt. And Matt was the most athletic guy I think I ever threw against.
Yeah.
So if you're not built like Matt and you're not as athletic as Matt, you can't do a lot of the same things Matt can do. So, landing with real shallow feet or actually the left foot in front of the right. And when Matt did that and his left foot dropped in front of the right foot instead of in line with the instep, it caused him to really have to think about getting that right hip around. But most of us don't think that way because we're not athletic enough to handle that.
He has billions of reps.
Billions of reps, yep.
And then even Sully, or Jake Sullivan was talking about it when we were in Detroit one time, is the difference in his technique and Matt. And have you ever thrown with Jake?
I never met him. I've seen videos.
Jake's a technician. He's smaller than Matt, I think. He was, I think he was 265 or 270 at the time. And he's a technician.
Yeah.
I mean, rep after rep. He had we was teasing because he'd have 4 practices a day.
Yeah.
But he was telling us the difference between him and Matt is Matt's strong.
Right.
And he goes, I'm not that strong. He goes, so I have to hit the proper positions. I have to put the weight here every throw or it's not going to go. Where Matt can miss that just a little bit, but he's strong enough to come out of it.
Yep.
And that's the only reason. The reason I am able to get a good heavyweight throw every once in a while is because I'm 340 pounds.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure that out. And you guys always told me, he goes, you guys, you're heavy enough to counter that. What are you?
Yeah, it shouldn't be dragging you around. That's
so pretty much got to the point where I just got pissed off one day. And it was at the Wisconsin games, and we'll get to that story in a second. And I hit a 43 foot. It was a 3-foot PR.
Yeah.
And Curry's like, you were pissed off, weren't you? I was like, yeah.
That's what you start thinking about. You should be able to do this stuff.
And the reason I was mad at Wisconsin is, so they score the women and men together at Wisconsin.
Right.
The problem was for years it didn't matter because it wasn't high-scale women showing up.
Right.
And then 2 years ago, Alyssa Hepner was starting starting to climb the ladder, and she was in the mix, and Adrian both showed up.
Right.
So, and I have no problem throwing, they're 28 versus our 50. It makes sense. They're not throwing outrageous numbers.
Right.
Everything lines up perfect.
Right.
Except for the stones. When we're throwing a 28-pound Braemar and they're throwing a 12-little-pound peanut.
Yeah. That stone was horrible.
And then on top of that, when they're throwing a twig as a caber.
Yeah.
And because I remember I was pissed off because on Saturday and Sunday I was the only guy to turn that caber. Right. And I got 4th place because they could trip and throw a 12.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's money out of my pocket. I mean, these girls, and then I was telling us, it is fine, everything else. Adrian should be, at the time, she should beat me. She's the best woman in the world.
Yeah. It's a dumb way to score athletes, though.
It's one of those things, she should beat me because she's better than me as a thrower.
Yeah.
And they split the hammers, people don't know. The women throw 11-pound heavy hammer, so it's exactly half of ours, and an 8-pound light hammer. And they didn't throw out outrageous numbers. Right. They were throwing what normal people threw in the normal pros throw on the hammers. Right. I think Adrian threw high 120s in the light hammer. And so it wasn't anything ridiculous. I was just pissed off because the Braemar and the caber were completely not even fun.
It shouldn't even be an issue. They shouldn't do that. You try to get too cute with this stuff, and you need to realize that first of all, your pro class, in a lot of cases, counts on a certain amount of money. This isn't a fun outing that you do once a year. This is your job 3 weeks out of the month, and you're there to compete and make money. And I don't have any problem if I beat Kerry Overfelt one week and he beats me the next week. But if you start throwing in screwy women and amateurs. I remember going to Chicago and they would bring in
all the
shot putters. So the first event,
I hated that.
You'd have these awesome shot putters.
I start the event in 10th place.
And then they sucked the rest of the day, but the first 2 events,
I'll kill these guys for 4 years.
It used to drive me nuts, man. They had to crawl out of the basement.
I think the one year I got second or it's the year we threw both stones.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore, but we threw both stones. I think I got second or third in Braemar and I won the Open.
Right.
So I'm sitting there like first or second place going to the weights, and we all know what happened then.
I might have been there that year that you did that.
I opened up with a huge 32-foot win.
Right. But that was always the way. They would just shit the bed the rest of the competition.
And then it was the Nice rules, which everybody hated and loved.
That was so hard. But again, why screw with, you wouldn't they give you 10 attempts total?
I always tell people, no, it's 3 attempts. You got 3 misses.
3 misses total no matter where you were, you're right.
You started at 25 in sheaf, 15 in wob, up by 2 feet in wob, up by 3 feet in sheaf. So there's a lot of people who cleared 15 and like, done.
Yep.
And then I told you, it took me 3 years to clear a height event there.
Yeah.
The first 2 years, because I wasn't a very good wob thrower. And sheep, for some reason, I just couldn't throw it well there. I don't know why. But so finally, like the 3rd year, I cleared both, and I was like, yeah!
Yeah. I can remember being in dogfights in the sheaf in that place and just scared to death to miss, you know?
And there was Frazier, who, I still think I call him, even though he's not throwing anymore, the best, I think he's the best sheep flosser. Spencer did really well. I think Spencer will probably be considered the best, but Eric dominated that.
Yeah, Eric was great, yeah.
But he came in at 25, and all looked like, why is he throwing at 25 feet? He had 2 misses at 25.
Oh, God.
And he's done.
Yeah.
Nope. I think he cleared the last event, the bar maxed out. And
you weren't there the year Kerry yelled at him when he threw the hammer into the crowd. Were you there?
Yeah, I was.
Because
he was lined up.
He literally
set up throwing towards the crowd.
And it almost hit that baby carriage. The woman had to move the baby carriage at the last minute, and it smashes into the blanket where the baby carriage was, and Kerry just jumped up and started yelling at him like he was his dad. And I thought Frazier was gonna start shedding tears. He was yelling at him. Something
similar happened without the yelling part, but we were at Detroit. I don't know if you were there that year. You might have been. We were throwing the 28 parallel to the crowd.
Right.
Like we were throwing this way, and the crowd's over here.
Yeah.
And we're just like, this is a bad idea. This is a really bad idea. All people, Dan McKinn come up, throws it, loses it. It literally, those half tents, the umbrellas that people set it by, it went between 2 kids and took out the tent.
He was one of the kids.
Was it? Was it him?
It was Hayden.
And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, it almost killed him. It went right past his head.
And it took out the tent, right?
Yep.
So that was him. But I was like, holy, and I don't know how Dan recovered from that.
Yeah, I couldn't have thrown. Craig was horrible with that. He would always, if you were lined up anywhere near the crowd in the hammer or the weight, especially the hammer, he did that at Fergus one year. Threw 2 into the crowd and then quit. He said, I can't take the 3rd one because he knows it was going to the crowd again. It got into his head and he couldn't do it anymore.
From my understanding, at Worlds last year, Spencer, I guess, warmed up and threw one in the crowd in the 28. I think his first one went in the crowd, and he said I couldn't do it.
I don't understand how it hasn't.
Right.
And ADs need to really pay attention to that because I've seen it almost kill people so many times.
One of the scariest things lately is the Caber to Arnold.
Yeah.
Because the crowd is so close.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They don't know how close that is.
Well, look at Spencer throwing the sheaf, and Arnold's standing right in the kill zone. Right. I could not have thrown that sheaf. What if you let go?
Right.
You've killed Arnold. How do you get past that? And he goes and breaks the world record.
Right. Yeah.
One slip, and Arnold's dead. You've killed him.
Wait, what?
You're never forgiven ever again. That's your whole life. Is you're the guy who killed Arnold with a fucking bag of straw. The Terminator. Oh, so you got Portland, and then what's coming up?
Portland, and then I think the Claw. They haven't set up the seedings yet. I'm looking at the list, and there's a lot of tough guys there, and they don't post the score thing anymore. The chart.
Oh, I don't like that. I'd like to see what was coming.
The reason because they changed it for the amateurs.
I remember. Yeah,
because of the
Nate was telling me about that.
Yeah, and I agree to a point. I mean, I get it, but. Usually, most of the times, there's always 1 or 2 of the amateurs that make the rankings anyways.
Again, why not just invite all pros? Let the amateurs grow.
It's an elite class.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But, and I felt bad when they changed that rule, because Zach Riley should have won no matter what.
Right.
Last year, and he was the one that got really screwed because I think he was like number 3.
Right.
And then they took all the scores out from the games that didn't count, and I spent a day trying to find him a Braemar score, like trying to figure it out, and just because that's the only thing he was missing. If he got a Braemar score, he'd been put right back up in the mix, and we just couldn't find anything. I think I got him one event because he threw a Dublin, and they paid for all the hotel rooms.
Right.
And I got the number. From one of the athletic directors, like how much does hotel rooms cost? And he told me, like, that's over $1,500.
Yeah.
So
sure, yeah.
So that, but we couldn't find a Braemar score to get him back in there. But
yeah, I heard about that today, and that's kind of screwy the way that's being worked out.
Yeah. So I looked at there's like 20 guys entered, and obviously the Americans get 10 spots.
Yeah.
They get two of them go to at least 2 of them go to Canadians. So, and then I think I'm in the mix. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
You're somewhere in
there. So
there.
I'm waiting for them to figure that out so I can get a plane ticket. So there's Portland, I actually go on a big run here.
Detroit.
Detroit, and then Fergus.
Good.
Then we go
Fergus
to Maine.
Is great. Yeah.
And I think it's one of the Holly games, the Renfest up in Michigan.
Yeah, right.
Those things are always fun.
And hopefully Celtic.
That's not yet. So we're in the middle of August, right?
Yeah, Holly is, yeah.
That one.
Wisconsin?
Pleasanton.
No, I got into Pleasanton.
You're going to Pleasanton over Wisconsin?
Yeah.
You don't make any money.
I'm still mad at Wisconsin.
The money's so much better, though, at Wisconsin.
No, they have some stiff with the girls. Alyssa goes there, and she throws well there.
Dude, you're running away from a broad. Come on!
So I'm faster than her. So that'll get her.
Yeah.
I went last year to Pleasanton. It was good. It was 120 degrees.
Steve runs a good games. It's just really
I
hot.
hope it's not as hot today.
Yeah.
This time.
I got invited to Pleasanton and went one year, but the money was just way better at Wisconsin. Before they were doing crazy things like that with the girls coming in, and then Alex was always trying to get us to go to Alexandria that weekend. But
I want to go there. I told Alex that one time before I'm done,
it's a nice game.
I went there.
Wisconsin's money was better.
I went there 3 years in a row for for the East Coast Championship.
Yeah, I was always
a 3-time second place champion at VSG. So that was always
3 times
second place champion. East Coast Championship. It was always 3 different people. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I lost one of them because I couldn't clear 14 in WOB.
That's rough.
I lost to Mike Dickens of all people that year.
Yeah.
So I hit the bar, smashed the bar twice.
Yeah.
All I had to do was clear 14, I would have won. So I smashed the bar twice at 14. So I take that half step out.
Uh-huh.
Perfect throw.
Straight up and down.
Right down in front of the bar.
Yeah.
So.
That's the Gillingham I remember when I was throwing, not this guy everyone's scared of.
There's that one. I think I lost to Wes Kaiser one year. Then Jason Thomas, and that was when I was awful at the caber.
Yeah.
We throw a stone, we throw both weights and a hammer, and I go into the caber with a 7-point lead over Jason. I come out of the caber with 3 points down.
God, that's a big drop.
So, and then Jason's very good to shoot.
Yeah.
I think he went 35 or 36 that year. So, you ever met Jason Thomas?
Yeah, sure do. Yep.
We competed well for about 3 or 4 years. Always at each other. I mean, we tied like 4 times. Burchett and I, Nathan Burchett.
Yeah.
Probably the last 3 years, we've probably tied 7 times.
I'd like to get Nathan on the podcast. That dude reminds me so much of the Scots in the way he throws.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he grew up watching them but his technique looks like the way the Scots in all of his events.
Yeah.
From his hammers to his stones, just the way they used to throw. I don't know where he got it from, but he looks just like him. He looks like Gordon Martin or something.
I think it came from when because they were always so small. When they started, they were small.
Yeah.
So they had to learn how to throw it.
And the Scots were that way too.
And everything. Yeah. Now he's like 240 or 250.
Yeah.
He's 6'4". I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah. He keeps telling me that, and I walk over and I'm like, all right, I guess. Yeah, you're right. So now he's like 240 or 250. So now he has the speed and the weight. Yeah. It's like, wow, this guy's tough.
Tough to beat.
Yeah. So he always had that unique caber technique that I tried it once and didn't like it, but so of course he's a runner. So we always if you're a judge for Nathan Burchett on the caber, you have to have your running shoes on.
Right.
But he talks about he gets it going, and then his last 3 steps he centers it in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, because that way you're pulling straight up.
I totally
but otherwise, like, you're getting here and you're pulling, and there's that chance it could roll.
I used to do the same thing. Yep.
He goes, I tried it once, didn't like it, so I just stopped. Because I think I hit myself with the caber.
Yeah. I learned, when I was an amateur, crazy enough, I learned to pick the caber and look straight up at it. Why the guy who taught me that, but I used to run looking straight up at the caber.
I think I've seen pictures of you looking up at the caber.
Like some kind of circus act, But I would always bring it to the middle as I was taking my last couple of steps.
It's weird seeing all the different techniques.
Yeah.
High, low. Dan always had it up on his high.
I was always kind of in between.
If I think about it, I'll hoist it up. A lot of times, once I pick it, I take off. It doesn't matter what the caber is.
Yeah. I just get a nice, comfortable hand position and
then there's Andy Vincent, who's probably one of the best in the nation or in the world at caber tossing, and he doesn't get moving fast, and then he stops, he squats real low, and then it's just like a 19-foot pull.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
From the ground all the way above his head.
When you're a gorilla, you can get away with that stuff. Straight gorilla DNA.
And then Craig was high.
Craig was real high.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just funny seeing all the different ones. And like I said, I learned a lot from Craig traveling with him over the years.
Yeah.
I was about 6 years. I was an awful caber.
Yeah, you had a hard time with it, but you were learning events. Yeah. You were young and coming in, and that and the hammers are some of the toughest things to learn.
And then I started getting better. For a couple of years there, like I was turning the caber no matter.
Yeah.
And then I think last year, due to my training. Due to my training, my lack of training previous year, so last season, the training before that, I had a terrible off season. I had a bunch of everything, and I think I lost a lot of strength that I built up.
Yeah,
and so I'd have to get really pissed off to turn the caber.
Right,
and they started teasing me because it was literally like first attempt was terrible. Second attempt, I'd actually get it moving, and the third one, I'd turn it.
Yeah, right.
Every time. Yeah. And then so far this year, on both times, all 3 times I competed at tournaments.
Yeah, they were bragging on you in the last podcast about what a good caber tosser you are now. So
yeah, could you believe that? Would you believe that 5 years ago?
I've been out of the sport a long time, so.
So Kay used to make fun of me because if you tripped or stumbled, I knew it was going over.
Right, you screwed it up. It was perfect. Yeah.
But and then Dan Tennyson, he teased me all the time last year. He's like, "Well, we're not going to turn it on this one."
Yeah.
And it literally happened every time. I think at the Celtic, I turned it on the first attempt. And they're like, "What the fuck, dude?
Right.
That's not what you do."
I need to build up a little bit to this.
So, and then the thing that surprised me is we had a couple pictures of me at the Arnold this year throwing caber, and the first caber was really small. They broke the middle one,
okay.
So we had to throw like the Masters caber or maybe the Masters caber.
Yeah, it looked like it was an easier one that you guys.
So we had to throw that one first, just to because it's such a small area, I get used to it. And then we went to the big one, and so there's a couple pictures of me, and I posted these on Instagram of me in mid pull. About here, and the position is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's how you you repeat. If you can repeat it, then you can fix it.
Right.
And I was like, well, at least that tells me
we're doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was nice to see, but most of the other events I don't do the same thing.
Well, I think that's why it takes guys into their mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
To get good at this, because there's so many events you got to master, and even if you come in with a track and field background, it's going to take you that long to figure. It took me until I was in my late 30s to get good at the caber, and it ended up being my best event, but it took me forever to figure it out, Yeah,
and for me it was, obviously I didn't have to practice stone for a long time because I had it. I came out first couple years, I was one of the top amateurs, even the top. I had one of the top. Marks.
Oh, you came right in. Pros and were killing people in the stomach.
So I had to learn how to throw the weights. I was an okay hammer thrower at the amateur level. Below average hammer thrower in the pro class.
Right.
But terrible caber tosser, okay sheep tosser, terrible walk guy.
Right.
So over the years, I started to figure out the other ones, and I'm at the point now I'm 10 years out of college. 10 years. And my stone, it's kind of it's slipping away. So I try to get back on that this off season.
Yeah.
And I threw 49 feet in the solid ground in Chicago out of South African because I couldn't get the full turn to go.
Yeah.
So I think
it's always good to have that in your back pocket.
Yeah. So I think that's coming back around. I want to be back top of the class in that, or towards the top.
Yeah.
Sheaf's I'm always competitive in the sheaf. So this last week was terrible for me in Chicago, but sheaf I can usually contest. with everybody, most top guys. And, Spencer's kind of on his own planet right now.
Right. Yeah.
And then Caber, like I don't go to games not thinking I can't train Caber.
Yeah.
So
that's key. Is you go in knowing every stick. When I was at my best, I had no doubt that every stick I came in contact with, I could turn.
Yeah.
It was just, if I didn't turn it, it was a big surprise.
I remember, is it that one in Eastern Pennsylvania, the Scottish town one, the small festival.
Ligonier?
No, the other one. What's the name of that one? Starts with an E.
Oh, Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember we went there, and you were there, and I think, you were, Craig wasn't there, and I knew you were there, and you're a good caber tosser. And so it's been raining all day, and you get this caber, and you pick it, and all you hear is go, ugh. I'm like, oh god. if he's grunting, struggling with this caber, we're done.
Yeah.
There's no way we're gonna be able to.
I wasn't good at hiding my emotions and stuff.
And then, I don't think you turned it. They actually cut some off.
Yeah.
But I just remember you picking like, uh-oh, this ain't good.
Yeah, you don't usually tell if it sucked or not, but it's the same sound I make getting out of bed in the morning.
Do both your knees pop too? Like get up
my hips.
Oh yeah.
My hips are horrible. Like the guys at the gym laugh at me. I squat down and it'll pop, pop. And they know I'm hitting below parallel when both of them pop.
Nice.
All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up. We'll go to bed and we get ready to do some throwing tomorrow.
We still got to drive. We could go to Dougie's about an hour away.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, I'm coming up to Detroit too, so maybe I'm going to come to Detroit to get Andy on the podcast. Maybe we'll do this again. So
that sexy deep voice of his.
That's right. I got to get him on there. Those dulcet tones.
To make sure, have him sing some Barry White or something.
That would be perfect. All right, let's go get out of here. This has been the Refined Savage with Jeremy Gillingham. Powerful Jeremy Gillingham. See ya.